My main account in Genshin Impact is not what a main account probably should look like. I have plenty of strong characters with decent enough builds, some even with a lot of constellations. But if we look at all the characters on the account, most of them aren't even level 90 or even level 30 for that matter. Most of the time I spend all my resin and artifact domains, get bad RNG, and end up getting nothing out of it. Today is February 2nd, and for the next 50 days, I am only going to be farming ley lines. Currently, I have a whopping 49,000 gold, and in terms of level up material, this is all I have. Not a single hero's wit in sight. So I'm just curious to see if I stop farming artifacts for 50 days and only focus on leveling up characters and maybe talent levels, just how much progress could we make on this account? So let's get right into it with our first ley line. I wonder how many ley lines in total this is gonna take, because without condensed resin, technically you could farm 8 per day across the 50 days would be 400 ley lines. Obviously I'm gonna be using condensed resin, but yeah, there's the first one. Now, as to not bore you, I will see you in a couple days. It feels like I've only been farming ley lines for so long now. And let me just check, which day is this? 1, 2, 3, oh yeah. 2. Honestly, the hardest part of this so far is not pulling for characters. Because ideally, I would like to try and save up the primos. Every additional character that I pull is one more character I then have to build up. But I was thinking about it earlier today. And if I get Xian Yun and then pair her with Shen He and then use a Cryo Catalyst user or Chung Yun, in theory, that sounds like it'd be a pretty fun team to run. And then you could also throw in Bennett and get some melts going. So yeah, it's only day 2 of me saying I'm not going to pull anymore and I'm already going to pull. But if I do end up getting Xian Yun, I'm not going to build her right now. I just kind of want to get her on the account so I can save her for later. And then any constellations we get along the way, besides that one, would be nice. I think what it comes down to is I'm just terrible at saving in this game. We should be getting back to Pity for a 4-star here. Last wish I can do. It is purple. Can we see something besides Noelle? Look, I appreciate that you gave me something besides Noelle, but I do not need another rust. Anyways, back to farming, and I will probably see you all on day number 5. Here we are at day 5 of the only ley line challenge, I guess, for 50 days. Now, something I have been doing is not using condensed resin. If I'm in a rush, then yeah, I'm gonna use it, but for the most part, it's better if we don't, because then I get to also collect extra mob drops. Also, after thinking about it further, I decided I'm not going to keep pulling on that banner. The team that I envisioned in my head, I realized wouldn't really work as well as I had hoped. So I'm just gonna farm up these ley lines for the day, and then we can take a look and see just how much we've gathered in 5 days. I believe on day 1 we started with about 30,000 mora, and now if we check, we have 2.5 million. Also, we are up to 135 heroes wit. I should say that as I'm farming ley lines, I'm not alternating or picking one day to farm, say, Mora or XP. I'm kind of just farming whichever one is closer to a waypoint. Also, one other disclaimer is there are some events going on, so we might be getting some stuff from these that aren't from the ley lines. But overall, the majority of what we get will be from them. I would love to go ahead and level up some talents, some characters and whatnot, but I think I might change my mind. But for the sake of this video, it might be a better idea to save everything for day 50. But for now, I guess I'll see you all on day 10. By this point, you guys know the drill. It is day 10 of only farming ley lines. So let's farm these all up and see what kind of progress we're working with. Although I must admit that I did realize something a bit troubling. I was originally doing all of this so that I can make a lot of progress, meaningful progress on this account. Of course, that means maxing out characters and talents, except we're only farming ley lines, which means no talents. And since we're also not farming bosses, that means no ascensions. So other than bringing characters that are already in the 80s up to 90, I don't know how much upgrading we're really going to be doing. I would like to make excuses saying I didn't really think this out, but I actually did think it out and still didn't realize that that was going to be a problem. But obvious oversights aside, now that we are 1/5 of the way through this, let's see what we're working with. We have 278 heroes wits and 1600 adventurers XP. In terms of mora, we are at 3.4 million. Now, I know what some of you are thinking. You're probably thinking you're gonna be real smart. You're just gonna multiply that by 5 and that's how much we're gonna have at the end. Well, you know what? Don't do that. I mean, yes, you'd probably be pretty close, but you know, it just ruins the fun of the whole experiment. Though also you have to take into consideration we have events like I mentioned previously. And if I'm really feeling motivated to play the game, I could farm reputation for some extra mora as well. Oh, and one massive oversight on my part, besides the whole not farming talents or bosses, if I'm only farming ley lines, that means I'm not farming weekly bosses, which means for a number of weeks, I'm just wasting these materials. I think I'll make an exception and I'll allow myself to farm weekly bosses each week. I farmed 2 of them this week, but I did use a fragile resin to do so it didn't actually cut into our regular resin. I think I'll check back in on day 15, but then after that, probably day 25. So I'll see you then. Day number 15 has arrived. So today we are actually going to be doing something a little different, except that it's a complete lie because we are going to continue farming ley lines. I'm just saying, if we get to the end of these 50 days and I can only max level 2 or 3 characters, I'm gonna be very disappointed. Resin is completely spent. Also, yesterday, we did get this achievement for collecting 400 rewards from ley lines. But now for the progress update, 6.1 million mora, and then 371 heroes wits and 1,804 adventurers XP. Now, it does take 171 heroes wits to bring a character from level 80 up to level 90. So that means, as of right now, we could bring 2 whole characters to level 90 for 15 days of farming. That's really disappointing. Not to mention, some of that is from exploring parts of the world, as I'm working on a separate video on the channel at the same time. And we've even gotten some from the events that are up. Needless to say, ley lines are kinda stingy. But now I will see you at day 25 when we're halfway through this challenge. We are officially halfway through the 50 days of ley lines. So far, I've gotta say, I've been kind of enjoying it because I never have to think about what I want to farm. The only downside are moments like when I was on stream a couple days ago, I got a good artifact and I couldn't level it because I didn't want to spend any of our mora yet. And with all of the ley lines farmed up, we have finally passed 10 million mora, as well as 562 heroes wits and over 2,000 adventurers XP. Then looking at the numbers here of how much XP it would take to level a character from 81 to 90, I believe roughly we could bring 6 characters up. So then hopefully by the end of these 50 days, we should maybe be able to see 11 to 12 characters being brought from 81 to 90. I honestly don't know who I want to level up yet, and it probably won't only be characters that are level 80, so those numbers are going to get messed up a little bit. But I guess that's something we're going to have to find out for ourselves when it is day 50. Today is day 40 of this little experiment with ley lines, and for the first time in those 40 days, I'm actually farming ley lines not in Fontaine. Now, I could say that's because I wanted it to be like a monumental occasion, right? But the truth is, I just, for some reason, accidentally teleported to Mondstadt. I still haven't decided if I want to try and bring a couple characters up to level 90 or a lot of characters to level 80. Of course, I've only been farming ley lines, so I don't really have ascension materials prepared. But unlike in all the other updates, I'm not going to show you how much mora and XP books we have. We are only 10 days away from the end of this experiment, so I'll show you then. So I will see you all in 10 days. We have made it to day 50 of only farming ley lines. I might have already touched on it earlier, but I have realized now I don't know what I want to use all of this for. But with this ley line complete, that is officially 50 days worth of resin. And we are left with 1,239 heroes wits, 2,897 adventurers XP, and 20,282,000 mora, as well as quite a few drops from the Fontaine enemies that spawn from ley lines. Now comes the question of how do we want to spend all of this? As much as I don't need to level Lumin because I almost never use her, she is technically the main character, so it's very costly. 161 of the highest tier. We're gonna max her out. Level 90. There we go. Lumin, level 90. Who else wants to get to level 90? Dia, you want to be 90? boss. You're definitely one of the strongest characters in this game, so you know, we might as well do that too. But why stop there? Because I heard that Hu Tao also wants to be brought up to level 90. Yoimiya, a character that scales with attack, which isn't as important to get to level 90. Let's get you up to level 90. Bennett actually is a decent one to get up because more attack equals more of a buff, so that makes sense. Jianling is a very good character that I should use more, so let's bring her up. Now, a lot of what I'm missing for the rest of my characters has to do with things that require resin, like boss drops or gems. And obviously, I've spent all of my resin in the past 50 days only on ley lines, so I don't really have much of that. For the characters that I do have everything they need to ascend, I will go ahead ascend them and level them up to the next highest level. That'll be Xingqiu, that'll be Chevris, and honestly, there's not too much more I can do with all of this right now. Not without spending quite a long time just farming up bosses. But now the account does have 15 characters at level 90, and we still do have a decent amount of XP and quite a bit of mora left to level up the rest of them. So all in all, what have we learned here? Well, more than anything, after 50 days of only farming ley lines for mora and XP books, I was able to level some characters up to level 90, some up to like 70 or 80. But because I couldn't farm any bosses, we still have to wait quite a while before I can make more upgrades. So basically, it'd be really nice if Hoyoverse could give us more resin. Will I be able to never have to farm ley lines again? No, absolutely not. I'm sure very soon I'll be right back at it. It has been just over 2 weeks since I recorded the rest of this video, and I gotta say, as a result of this little experiment, it's been pretty nice. You see, recently I wanted to level up Chevris, so I farmed her boss, and then as soon as I did that, I could just max ascend her and max level her. And now it's the same thing with Jean. She's level 70, and I do want to build her for a Farina team. So, all I gotta do is ascend her, and then level her, ascend her again, and then, oh, what's that? I could just max level her. Now, you may have seen one little issue. If I go to level up someone else, we can see I don't have too many of the XP books left. So I am already going to have to start really considering who to level up because I'm gonna have to farm ley lines again soon. And if my goal is to eventually try to build every character on here, that's gonna take a long time. So for the time being, I will just focus on a select few. Oh, this has nothing to do with the video. I was just farming stuff for Jean. We got 3 golds in one run. But speaking of domains, now that I've spent 50 days farming only ley lines, there's a part of me that wants to try spending 50 days only farming in a certain artifact domain. I do consider myself to be a bit of a Raiden Shogun main, but during one of our live streams, we actually looked at the global leaderboards, and my Raiden is not that good. So I was thinking maybe we spend 50 days trying to farm Emblem of Severed Fates and see if we can improve her. It'll be kind of difficult because some of these pieces are pretty good, but overall the crit rate still needs a lot of help. So if that is something that you guys want to see, then let me know. And once I get back from my trip, maybe I'll start it. But with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed. And as always, I will see you all next time.